Nothing should survive down here. The pressure is over 1,000 times what you feel standing on land. No light has ever reached the bottom, not once. In 2011, a small research team dropped basic cameras into the Mariana Trench, expecting nothing but mud and darkness. What showed up on the footage still has not been fully explained. A hole deeper than Everest is tall. The Mariana Trench sits in the western Pacific Ocean, a few hundred kilometers east of the Mariana Islands near Guam. It is not just deep, it is the deepest place on the entire planet. The lowest point, called the Challenger Deep, drops to roughly 10,935 meters below the surface. To put that in perspective, if you took Mount Everest and dropped it into that spot, its peak would still sit more than 2 kilometers underwater. The trench itself stretches about 2,550 kilometers long, curved like a crescent moon carved into the seafloor. It formed because the Pacific tectonic plate is slowly sliding underneath the smaller Mariana Plate, a process called subduction that has been grinding away for millions of years. Down at the bottom, the pressure is more than 1,000 times what you feel standing on the beach. Scientists have compared it to the weight of 50 jumbo jets pressing down on a single point. The water hovers just above freezing, and there is no light at all, not even a trace. Only 3 types of vehicles built by humans have ever reached the very bottom, fewer than the number of astronauts who have walked on the moon. What waited for them down there was the first hint that this place should not be as empty as everyone assumed. The fish that should not exist. In 1960, explorers Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh became the first humans to reach the Challenger Deep aboard a submersible called the Trieste. They reported seeing what looked like a flat fish resting on the bottom, something many scientists still debate today since no fish has since been confirmed at that exact depth. What is confirmed, though, is just as strange. In 2014, researchers filmed a fish gliding through the trench at nearly 8,000 meters down. It was later named the Mariana snailfish, and it holds the record for the deepest fish ever recorded on camera anywhere on Earth. It has a soft, gelatinous body with no scales, translucent skin you can almost see through, and tiny black eyes. Up close, it looks fragile, almost delicate, gliding along the seafloor in small clusters while it hunts shrimp and other tiny creatures. Here is the part that throws people off. If you tried to bring one of these fish up to the surface, its body would basically fall apart. Its bones are thin and its skull is not fully hardened, because building a rigid skeleton takes energy that its body would rather spend just staying alive. The pressure that would flatten a submarine keeps this fish's body held together. Take that pressure away and it becomes unstable. But snailfish were only the beginning of what the trench had waiting. Giant shrimp-wearing metal armor. Scientists studying the Mariana Trench in 2019 found something that made almost no sense to them at first. Down in the deepest parts, they discovered shrimp-like creatures called supergiant amphipods, some growing up to a foot long, far bigger than the amphipods you would find in shallow water. That alone was strange, since food is scarce at those depths, and most creatures there are small to save energy. What really surprised the researchers was what these amphipods were made of. Their exoskeletons contained aluminum, something almost never seen being used by a living creature for its body armor. Scientists believe the amphipods pull the metal from sediment on the ocean floor and convert it into a coating that helps protect their shells from slowly dissolving in the corrosive deep sea water. They are also scavengers, meaning they eat whatever falls from above: wood, dead fish, plastic, anything that drifts down through the water column over weeks or months. Some have even been recorded using their spiky tails to fight off predators, a defense scientists had never documented in this species before. It sounds almost like science fiction, an armored deep-sea insect built from metal, but it is very real, and it is not even the strangest thing crawling around down there. A single cell the size of a mango. Most single-celled organisms are so small you would need a microscope just to notice they exist. In the Mariana Trench, that rule breaks down completely. During a 2011 expedition, National Geographic researchers spotted giant organisms called xenophyophores sitting on the ocean floor, some measuring over 10 centimeters across, roughly the size of a mango. These are not simple little blobs either. A xenophyophore is technically one single cell, but it contains many nuclei inside it, which is why scientists describe it as multinucleated. It builds a shell out of sediment and mineral particles that it gathers from the surrounding mud, forming shapes that look almost like sponges or coral. Nobody fully understands how something built from a single cell manages to grow this large while surviving crushing pressure and near total darkness. Researchers suspect their size and structure may actually help them survive, since a bigger surface area lets them absorb more nutrients in an environment where food is incredibly scarce. It is one cell, doing the job of an entire creature. And if that sounds unsettling, wait until you see what showed up glowing in the dark nearby. A jellyfish. Nobody has named. During a NOAA expedition exploring a region called the Enigma Seamount, near the trench, researchers were filming at around 3,700 meters down when a jellyfish drifted into view that nobody on the team recognized. It had thin, stretched-out tentacles and a bell-shaped body that stayed almost completely still. Rather than chasing prey the way many jellyfish do, it hung motionless in the water, waiting for something smaller to drift close enough to grab. As the cameras kept rolling, parts of its body appeared to glow faintly, which led scientists to believe it belonged to a group called Chrysota, though some researchers on the team suspected it could be an entirely new species altogether. To this day, it has never been officially classified or given a proper scientific name. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this analysis, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel tremendously. Think about that for a second. We have footage of a living animal floating in our own ocean, and scientists still cannot tell you exactly what it is. Meanwhile, telescopes scan galaxies trillions of kilometers away looking for anything alive at all. And the ghostly jellyfish is far from the only mystery still drifting unnamed through that darkness, because entire ecosystems down there survive using a method of getting energy that has nothing to do with sunlight. Life that never needs the sun. Nearly every living thing on the surface of our planet depends, directly or indirectly, on sunlight. Plants use it to grow, animals eat the plants, and the whole food chain builds from there. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, that entire system does not apply because sunlight has never reached that far down and never will. Instead, in 2025, a Chinese submersible discovered thriving colonies of worms and mollusks living almost 10 kilometers below the surface, clustered around cracks in the seafloor where methane gas seeps out. These creatures survive through a process called chemosynthesis, where certain bacteria convert chemicals like methane and hydrogen sulfide into usable energy instead of relying on sunlight the way plants do. The worms and mollusks then feed off these bacteria, either by eating them directly or hosting them inside their own bodies. Researchers called it the deepest colony of animals ever observed on Earth, and it suggests entire hidden ecosystems could be surviving down there that scientists have not even found yet. It means life on our planet does not need the sun at all in order to exist, which raises a strange question about what kinds of life could be surviving on other worlds using the exact same trick. Not far from these vent communities, other creatures nearby have taken a completely different approach to surviving the dark. Eels you can see straight through. Near the same Hadal zone where the snailfish and giant amphipods were recorded, researchers have also filmed transparent eels gliding through the water, their bodies almost see-through except for a fish-like head at the front. These eels hunt in complete darkness, relying on sensitive body parts rather than eyesight to detect prey moving nearby, since there is no light down there for eyes to actually use. Alongside the eels, a thick carpet of bacteria coats large sections of the seafloor. This bacterial layer breaks down dead sea creatures and drifting plankton that sink from far above, recycling the nutrients back into the ecosystem so almost nothing goes to waste. Scientists studying this layer describe it as one of the main reasons life can hold on at all in a place with almost no food supply reaching it naturally. Researchers involved with ongoing Hadal Zone studies, including a project called MIR, have said this combination of scavengers, bacteria, and chemosynthetic vent life shows the trench is not one empty wasteland, but several overlapping ecosystems stacked on top of each other. Every layer depends on a different survival trick, built up slowly over millions of years in total isolation. And even with everything scientists have documented so far, they are still only cataloging a small fraction of what has been recorded on camera. Plastic at the bottom of the world. You would expect the deepest, most isolated point on Earth to be one of the last untouched places left. It is not. In 2020, researchers discovered a new species of amphipod living in the Mariana Trench and found something troubling inside its body when they examined it closely. Tiny fragments of plastic were already present in its tissue. The species was formally named Urethanes plasticus, a name the researchers chose on purpose to highlight how far plastic pollution had already spread, nearly 7 kilometers beneath the surface of the ocean, into a habitat that had barely been studied before humans ever laid eyes on it. Alan Jameson, the marine ecologist who led the research, pointed out that this was a brand new species from a barely explored habitat, and it was already contaminated before we even had a chance to properly study it in its natural state. Other expeditions to the trench have documented microplastics scattered across the seafloor sediment, along with reports of plastic bags and packaging spotted resting near the very bottom of Challenger Deep itself. Our trash reached the deepest point on Earth before most of our scientists did. And somehow, despite that pollution and the crushing conditions, an entirely invisible world of life keeps expanding down there the more closely we look. Thousands of species we never knew existed. A research effort called the Mariana Trench Environment and Ecology Research Project, known as MIR, set out to study sediment samples pulled from the trench and other extreme deep sea locations. What the team found was staggering. Over 6,000 new microbial species were identified, organisms that had never once been recorded or classified before this project began. Scientists studying the genetics of these microbes found something else worth noting. Many carried genes that help break down harmful byproducts created inside their own cells, chemicals called reactive oxygen species that, if left unchecked, damage DNA and speed up aging in most living things. These deep trench organisms also appeared to have unusually strong systems for repairing their own DNA, something researchers believe helps them survive constant exposure to crushing pressure and near-freezing temperatures. Researchers involved in the project have said this kind of research could eventually help develop new medicine or even support future space travel, since surviving extreme pressure and isolation is exactly the kind of problem astronauts face too. In other words, we may end up learning how to survive in space by first studying creatures that have never once seen the sky. We looked up when the answer was down. For decades, we have pointed telescopes and rovers outward, searching distant planets and moons for any sign of life, any microbe, any hint that we are not alone. The entire time, our own ocean floor has been hiding armored shrimp, glowing unnamed jellyfish, fish that fall apart outside the pressure that built them, and thousands of microscopic species we never knew existed until very recently. Less than 5% of our ocean floor has been properly explored, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. That means most of the Mariana Trench and nearly all of the ocean beyond it remains completely unmapped and unstudied. We do not know what else is down there. We do not know how many more species are drifting past cameras that have never been sent that deep. Space is enormous, and it is genuinely worth exploring. But right now, today, there is an entire alien world sitting at the bottom of our own planet. One that has been there the whole time, waiting for us to finally look. If this video gave you something, subscribing takes 3 seconds, and it helps us keep making content like this.